Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya wal Mursaleen. This is Kazi and you're watching Candidate Forum on Dallas Roundup. I'm joined by a very special guest, Sheri Almonds. Sheri, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mujib. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you for volunteering yourself for the public service. I know you have been a city councilwoman for the first term. You're just completing your term and running again to serve the community. Give yourself a couple of minutes and talk about what is your profession, what do you do for a living beside the public service, and what triggered you to come and be part of the public service.
Okay. Well, I've been a resident for Keller for 25 years. I've been married to my wonderful husband for 29. About 6 years ago, I took over a floundering farmer's market that was here in Keller and turned it into just a huge community hub. We've gone from 13 vendors to 118 this year. And 3 years ago is when I was really approached by just the community saying, hey, you should run for council. Because you're out here, you have a good ear for what's going on, you're listening to all of us. And so I took it to heart and decided to throw my hat in the ring 3 years ago and was fortunate enough to win that first election.
So if I were to ask you that what have been your core accomplishment in the last 3 years, how would you categorize it? 1, 2, 3, or this is what I was so proud of accomplishing it for the last 3 years that I've been in the office?
Sure, that's a great question. Well, actually the last year and a half has been instrumental, I think, to our community here in Keller. We did the historic tax relief of the 20% homestead exemption with no new tax rate. Historic infrastructure investment in our sidewalks. That was huge because my last time running, all I heard at the doors was we really need our sidewalks and streets repaired. And so we increased that budget from $35,000 to $3.5 million. That is a huge increase to help us get rid of that 6-year backlog of repairs that were needed to be done. We were huge advocates for our fire and police department. You will never see them defunded in this city. We will always ensure them that they have the proper training, equipment, and just whatever they need to continue their job. I mean, it's a testament to our men and women in blue that they always get that excellent rating and national accreditation. So they deserve our full support.
And we have seen that happening year after year, that they get recognized not only on a national level but also on a state level. And obviously city of Keller has been one of the safest city, have been recognized many a time. And obviously that's a very core service.
Yes.
Last time when we had this cold front that hit the Keller, and we were out, we had a power outage, we were out of water for a few days as well. And you were at the office. So give us what measures did you guys take to make sure that it does not happen again, to mitigate that problem, because it's not just a city problem, it was a pretty much statewide problem.
You're right, Mujib, it was a statewide problem, so it's not really, things out of our control were happening, such as the pipelines breaking in Fort Worth that bring us our water. If their infrastructure failed, then it hit our residents. If it's okay, I would like to talk a little bit about how our community reacted to that event.
Please, go ahead.
Because the thing I'm most proud of is how our citizens reacted during Storm Uri, which is what they ended up calling it. A bunch of us got together, restaurants, even some food trucks from the Keller's Farmers Market got out at the Bowden, and we fed over 1,700 people meals that were out of electricity. And you saw neighbors allowing strangers into their home to stay warm. Just if you take a step back, that's the one thing I think we learned, is that we have such a valuable community here, a loving community. And I think that differentiates us from the other towns. We may not have all the restaurants and all the shopping, but I think you couldn't find a better loving community than we have here. Things we learned, obviously, is that the power grid is out of our control, but we were in contact with them. Our mayor did an excellent job of communicating with them on how we felt and where we were. And
the quick question on you mentioned that you were very proud of allocating certain budget towards the improvements of the parks and recreation, and I know you guys just passed for the sports complex that is being renovated in city of Keller. Talk about that a little bit, on that, how that entire endeavor, was there any pushback from the city residents in terms of allocating the budget, and at the same time what sports are being introduced to the city in addition to what already existing?
Okay. Well, I don't think there was a whole lot of pushback. This is something that most of our residents have wanted for a long time. my kids are grown and gone. They played at that sports park, and they tripped in the gopher holes and everything else that was out there at that time. So it's really needed renovating for a very long time. I think the $25 million is a bit of a shocker price tag to most of our residents, and that's where the price of things are today with infrastructure and redoing the fields and repaving all the parking lots and everything that we're doing. I mean, we're basically upgrading it, to where it needs to be today to keep it safe and family friendly. They did incorporate the equestrian center that's over there, which is a big deal to the horse people. So I think they reached out to all the different sports and had everybody have a discussion. So it's not just the soccer that got the say, the football or the baseball. Everybody collaborated together and put some ideas. I do know that you really are wanting a cricket field, and I know you've come before council before, and I hope we can find a place for you to do that, because you're right, it is a growing sport, and I think we have a lot of people here that would love to go see that.
Well, I appreciate that. I was going to ask you that question. You already answered it. That's great. At least, it's in back of mind of the
yes.
government, and that they're thinking about it. And hopefully one day we do have that sport in city of Keller. Talk about a little bit about Old Town. I know at one time that, the South Lake downtown that's supposed to have been Keller, but it was taken to other sides of the town. We want to maintain the old look of our town, but we want to make sure that it has all the modern amenities that we need.
Yeah.
What is it that you have done as a councilwoman in the last term, and what is it that we are expecting in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, right now we're in the process of revitalizing the Old Town Keller East. And we have to start with the infrastructure. So, and just getting the sewer, the drainage, the pipes, everything in place there that we need. Electricity is going to help these other companies and businesses want to come in, because at least that's already in place for them. What I see for that area is very family oriented. There's a little Bates Park that's going to go in that's more of a passive park, but it's a peaceful, nice place to sit with your family and your kids while you're visiting the museum that it happens to be next to, which is about all of our city's history, or walking across the street, which we've put in that walking beacon across 377 for safety, to get to the restaurants. After the infrastructure and everything's done, what I would love to see happen in that area is a community theater come in. I wish that the city could invest in some of the property that's down there and turn it into a real unique experiential area for us. Not only the Festival Street on Bates Street, but let's bring in some unique restaurants and some unique retail, and maybe provide a little bit of entertainment in the form of a community theater. I think that would just really liven that place up and finally bring it to something that we've always wanted it to be.
We have noticed that our city is at a population of 46,000 right now, and I have seen many officials talking about that our cap is 50,000. Why is it that?
Well, I think as far as our utilities and city services and just overall land, that should be our max. We don't want to, if we go beyond that, I think we're really stretching ourselves thin and getting too crowded. Of course, some people think we should have stopped back at 15,000, but that would be my answer to that. I mean, I just think if we go beyond that, it's going to really start taking away some of what.
So basically it will create a problem about resources that are available in terms of. Okay.
Of course, because we don't have the sales tax base that a lot of our neighboring cities have. So
that makes perfect sense, because this was one of the questions that one of the residents asked, that we still have some land. What I was going to ask you was, our city does have a country look, and we can only do so much with the land that is available. Are you okay with the amount of housing that we have, or the amount of commercial sites that we have in our city? Would you be in support of bringing more commercial or residential development to the city, or you're okay with the one we already got?
Well, I guess it depends on if the right one comes in the right area, really, because we do have some nice commercial property up on 377 that something unique could come in. That's a great significance to our city. As far as housing goes, as long as any development that wants to come in, if it's high quality and fits the zoning for that area that it's supposed to go in, then I'm okay with that.
So it's open for discussion. Basically.
It's always open for discussion. I don't think we should ever shut the door to anybody. Every planned development has the right to come before us and let us hear what they have to offer.
The city traffic has been a challenge. Because of our landlocked situation, traffic flowing through our city, and sometimes it backed up on the some of the main intersections up to miles during the rush hours. What city is thinking about it? Not everything is in control of the city. I totally understand that.
Right, yes. And I know you know that. We've already spoken to TxDOT about synchronizing the lights because sometimes I will go down 1709 and I hit every light in Keller, but by the time I get to South Lake, it's green lights all the way, almost. So we're in talks with them about synchronizing. Now, we could take over, the city could actually take over the synchronization of the lights, but we'd have to hire somebody to do it, and it's quite costly. But then we're in charge of timing them. So we're trying not to do that and just get TxDOT to work with us on synchronizing the lights. I think the roundabouts will help some of the situation once we get those in place. The one on Whitley and Bear Creek, and then the one on Johnson Road. So traffic will flow, easier than the four-way stops that have been put in place there.
The council, before you purchased a big parcel up in the North Park, and that was, I think it was close to a little over $500,000 that was spent on that property. That is sitting there, not being utilized. Have your council thought about it? What are we going to do with that?
We actually went out there and took a tour of it.
Okay.
Some people refer to it as the sand pit that's out there. It would cost quite a bit to do anything to that, so we thought about maybe make a natural part, where we would have to do very little to it, to clean it up and make it accessible. We actually even had discussions about moving the equestrian park, the equestrian portion that's at Sports Park out there.
Okay.
And make that just an equestrian area for them. So there's been a lot of talks, but hasn't, nothing's really come to the forefront. Another idea is to sell it to somebody, have the city sell it to a developer.
What do you think, what was the motivation behind purchasing it?
I wasn't on council back then, so I'm not real sure what the motivation was, other than I think it was just, I don't even know if I should say this part, but it was my understanding, it was like a junk.
Yeah.
Nobody would do anything with it. It was a junk. It used to be a quarry.
Yeah.
And so there was really nothing could be done with it. So that's a good question that I'd like to know is why did y'all buy that? Because I really don't know.
Yeah, because that's the money that is sitting there and not being utilized. Could have been used for anything else. Is the Johnson Road situation situated?
Is it situated? Yes, we're actually waiting. We're at the mercy of the utilities right now. Okay. So that's why it's taking so long until the utilities get in place. Then we can continue moving forward with the construction side of it. Okay.
The last question, school district. I know you have nothing to do with the school district, but school district carries our name, the Keller School District. And part of the reason people come to Keller is because of the school district.
That's why I came here.
So 20 years ago when you moved to Keller and your kids grown up and they graduated, then gone, compare yourself back then, now. Do you think our school has progressed, static, or moving upward?
Our schools have been through so much with COVID and the mask, and that in turn has, I think, caused our children to fall way behind in their testing and in their skills. So there's a lot of challenges facing today's schools that, fortunately, my children didn't have to go through. I think our teachers have tried their hardest. I think Rick Westfall is doing an excellent job as with what he's got to do with. I didn't hear a lot of complaints about the school, honestly, and how it was progressing, Majib, until COVID hit. And then, it's all this inner fighting about mask and no mask, and then these poor children are falling behind, and the testing that's mandated, and I think it's just caused a snowball effect. And, now we have other issues going on, as you're probably aware of, with certain books that are being allowed in the school, and more progressive things coming in that a lot of parents are not happy with. So, my advice there is that everybody really pay attention to who's running for the school board trustees and make the right choice to get those people in.
Because you have influence, and I'm sure that you guys, the council regularly meets the board, share the concerns that are coming from the citizen with the school board. One of the things that we are accommodating people of all communities, all faiths are being accommodated for such as well. Happy Easter. I know it is a Easter today.
Yes, thank you very much.
Absolutely. And you have a Passover, and then you have other religious holidays. And this is a month of Ramadan for the Muslims community. Would you be in support of having some sort of an accommodation for it's like 2-3 minutes in a day during the month of Ramadan if they want to offer their services and they're given an isolated room for 2-3 minutes? Would you be in support of that?
Mm-hmm. We are a wonderful community of all kinds. Mm-hmm. And mostly, I hope that we're a community of love and respect.
Well, I appreciate that. I think that is something most of the school districts are taking the consideration. And I am planning to talk to the school district here in Keller and see if they can accommodate that. That would be great.
Good. That would be great.
Last message for our residents.
Well, I'm Sheri Almonds. I have been your elected official for the last 3 years, and I would really appreciate your support in 3 years moving forward. Like I started this conversation, we've got a lot of great things coming up with the sports park and the 377 overlay and Old Town Keller East revitalization. I really would like to try to get a community arts theater in here and a splash pad at one of our parks. That's a big hit. And we have a wonderful council right now. We're a good team. We work together. We listen to each other. We respect one another. And that has been missing sometimes in the past. To be able to sit down and just have those really deep discussions and appreciate each other's, commentary. So, early voting starts April 25th. And actual election day is May 7th.
Well, that's all we have from our studio today. And Sheri, thank you very much for taking the time out and talking to us. And one thing that I do want to say is this. For the last 3 years that we have seen, there was some divide in our council, and there was a lot of debate. Difference of opinions is one thing, but in the end of the day, if we come together and work on the commonalities and push our personal biases aside and work for the communities at large, I think that's what makes our city of Keller unique. And we have a great leadership here in city of Keller. Guys, make sure that you go out and vote. Whoever you vote, but make sure that your vote is casted, your voices are heard. Thank you all very much. Until next time, take good care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.